This is my friend Chris, who I've known for about 12 years now. And he's decided he wants to come and see what bike travel is all about. So he's flown to Bogota to meet me, and we've given ourselves 6 weeks to try and make it to Volcan Cotapaxi in Ecuador. Along the way, experiencing the kindness of the Colombian people, taking on the country's infamous death road, sleeping high up in the Ecuadorian paramo, and seeing so many beautiful places along the way. And thanks to cycling being so popular in Colombia, Bogota's extensive network of cycle lanes meant it wasn't long before we escaped the chaos of the city and were enjoying the beauty of this spectacular country.
These are the
Well, after a beautiful day of riding, at the very least after leaving Bogota, we found ourselves having dropped about 4,000 feet of elevation, and we were riding through the Colombian countryside. And we asked a couple of little farms here about somewhere we could camp, and ended up being told we could camp with this just really lovely family. They've got such a beautiful and peaceful place here amongst the mountains, and they're really, really kind people. It's just the perfect way to end our first day after leaving the city. Well, one problem with camping on a farm is you're almost guaranteed to be woken up by a rooster. But actually, an early start is exactly what we needed to get some good miles done before the heat kicked in. However, not long into the day, Chris had a crash and bent his derailleur after getting chased by an aggressive dog.
Good start to the morning.
And so we diverted into a town called Hiradot to get the bike fixed, and set out early again the next morning to cross the Magdalena river that we'd be following for the next week. This right here is the Magdalena, the longest river in Colombia. And these beautiful mountains are the Andes.
beach town lights blink in slow motion. You're talking to me for a moment, and I'm feeling like a tidal wave. I'm reeling like a tidal wave. I must be changing. I've been looking in the mirror, trying to recognize myself. I must be changing, but I know that you're still with me. I know that you're still with me. Somehow, somehow, somehow. Remember that show down the shoreline? We snuck out your house just to hear that band play. We were living just for the day, rolling wilder than a tidal wave.
Buenos días.
I must be changing. I've been looking in the mirror, trying to recognize myself. I must be changing, but I know that you're still with me. I know that you're still with me. When I hear that song again, and the birds are humming. When I drive by your old house, and I'm laughing to myself, I know you're with me somehow.
Oh, it's my birthday, and I do always say if I can unzip my tent and drink my morning coffee with a view like this, then it's a good day. But it was actually a really terrible camp spot. Chris's tent got swarmed by ants last night, and it started raining, despite the fact we're in one of the driest parts of the whole of Colombia. So we had to move his tent, and wasn't the best night's sleep, that's for sure. But luckily today we are riding about 30 miles to a big town called Neiva, and we're going to have our first rest day of the trip. So we headed into Neiva, and we looked ahead at a stretch of 230 miles of hot riding before we finally be climbing high up into the Andes for good.
I've tried just about everything to fly away to some other place. I got a rowdy heart and a broken wing, looking for a home to land my plane, going somewhere I've never been before. Got a rowdy heart and a broken wing, restless night, strangest dream, staring at the sky, begging for some relief.
You want to hop on?
Got a rowdy heart and a broken wing. I've made friends, enemy, another refugee, looking for some peace. Got a rowdy heart and a broken wing.
And after more than 200 miles since Neiva, we'd made it to a town called Mocoa, known as the gateway to the Amazon, where we waited out some days of bad weather before taking on Colombia's infamous Trampolina de la Muerte, which translates to the Death Trampoline. We've just got started on the Death Trampoline, which we're going to be climbing about 9,000 feet along over the next couple of days as we make our way high up into the Andes once again. Although this is supposedly Colombia's most dangerous road, for a couple of heavily loaded cyclists that are going to be riding up it at about 4 miles an hour, I don't think there'll be too much danger. We just got caught in the rain, but luckily it was just as we made it to these radio towers, and there was a little abandoned building we could hide out in. And you don't have to hide for too long before the clouds pass, the blue skies come out, and you get to see something like this. Wow. Down there are actually the plains that stretch for hundreds of miles all the way into the Amazon. Just incredible. Managed to find a restaurant by the side of the road last night with a very basic room available. I'm glad we did, because it poured with rain last night. It's just cleared up now, so it's not quite so bad. This road is notorious for being ridiculously wet, and it is wild enough as it is, so we're going to wait a little bit for it to clear up. So beautiful.
A better lover. Oh, I heard that you like to play with other hearts around you. Oh, I heard that you like to let your eyes wander around the room. So when you leave for the summer, are you gonna catch a fish again to add to your collection and pull me back like other men? Now I caught feelings I didn't mean to catch. I didn't cast mine.
Waterfalls everywhere.
Now you hook my heart and you must depart. Will we last a while? Standing in my doorway, I watch you walk away. I hide my face in my hands.
Almost at the top now.
'Cause a teardrop rolls and trickles and falls down my
First time we've seen pavement in 2 days. Which means we have officially survived the Death Trampoline. Now it's time to go find somewhere to sleep.
And so we spent the night in a beautiful little town called Sibondoy. And although we made it to the top of the Death Road, there was still climbing to be done.
This is even steeper than the Death Road. Well, it looks like I'm going solo on today's climb. We've done about 1,000 feet of it, and Chris is just absolutely knackered, so he's going to take a truck to the top. And to be fair to him, he's just done 2 ridiculously hard days of climbing. I don't think I did any climbs like that until I've been bikepacking about a year. So for him to do that in his first few weeks is seriously impressive. He's absolutely smashed it. So I think he deserves to take this one off. So climbing up into the paramo on my own. Hopefully I'll see him up there. Definitely a little envious of Chris right now. This is gonna be a wet one. Whoa. I'm climbing hard to stay warm though. I've officially made it to the paramo. Those right there are frailejones. But I'm still just up in the clouds. And I made it to the top of the pass. Whew, that was a hard push with the elevation. And I think it's just in time. Chris could be arriving any minute. I don't imagine I'll stick around too long. The weather is not great up here. But it feels good to be in the paramo again. I have to say it feels pretty wrong riding through it on a paved road. Just in time, that was him there. It's a shame it's not clear up here because it would be so beautiful. But I have to say it looks pretty cool with all the mist. That's just the way it goes sometimes. You put your heart and soul into pedaling up a mountain pass. You get to the top and you're just not rewarded with anything. There's nothing to see. But it only makes it even more special those times when you get up there and the skies are clear and and it's just beautiful. So next time you're at the top of a mountain pass and you're wet and you're cold and you're miserable and there's no view other than the clouds, just think about how much more you'll appreciate it the next time you go up and the sky is clear and you get rewarded for all your efforts. I may have spoken just a little too soon. How is that for a view? Look at that. That is unbelievable. Colombia just never stops blowing me away.
Me and Chris were soon reunited, and we headed to a campsite by Laguna de la Concha, and a short ride the next day took us into Pasto, where we take our final rest day in Colombia.
We're just about to leave Pasto. We got 2 days riding to the Ecuadorian border. Hopefully it's beautiful. Today we're paying homage to the Pan American Highway, a road I usually try to avoid. If you look behind me, you can see why. But sometimes you just gotta do it.
Those final days along the Pan American were some of the most beautiful stretches of the highway that I'd seen, with steep valleys and stunning rivers carving our path towards the Ecuadorian border. But most of all, these final days felt like saying goodbye to a country I had so quickly fallen in love with. A country where a simple smile and a buenas tardes can lead you to eating food in someone's home, camping on their farm, or even spending an afternoon fishing in the river. A country where, when you're not sleeping under the most magical of night skies, or sipping your morning coffee in some of the most peaceful and beautiful places imaginable, you're being made to feel welcome by an endless sea of friendly faces and big smiles. A country where the streets are ran by only the sweetest of dogs, and the towns look like something straight out of a postcard. Colombia had done an incredible job of setting the tone for my time in South America, and it was feeling hard to imagine it could get any better than this. But soon we were going to find out as we crossed the border into Ecuador and began the final stretch of our journey to Cotapaxi.
I think the dogs are just as good in Ecuador. No, right, buddy.
I always like to end my first day in a new country somewhere beautiful, so we made our way straight up into the paramo.
Well, we've woken up to the misty paramo that I'm much more used to. But I'm going to hike over to these nearby lakes anyway, just on the off chance it clears up. Oh wow, that is absolutely unreal. All these weird plants you see up here are called frailejones, and they only exist here in the northern Andes above the tree line in this unique ecosystem called the paramo.
And they're very important because thanks to their furry leaves and flowers, they're incredibly good at absorbing all the moisture from the clouds that roll over these mountains. Because of them, the paramo kind of acts like a big sponge, absorbing all that moisture and releasing it into the waterways below. I think the border town we passed through yesterday, they're actually 100% dependent on the water that's released by this paramo. This was our little home last night. Here's George and Dennis. We all squeezed into this room here. I think it's time to head somewhere a little warmer.
Apparently Ecuador is famous for cobblestone roads. They're not too good for bikes.
We soon said goodbye to George and Dennis, a couple of German bikepackers we met at the Ecuadorian border, and continued south on Ecuador's highways, where the next day we found ourselves riding with another English bikepacker called Dan. And suddenly we found ourselves in a town called Otavalo, with just 100 miles to go until Cotapaxi. However, this is where Chris got very sick, and after several days of rest, it was becoming clear that making it in time by bike just wasn't an option. But still, we wanted to see the iconic snow-covered peak of Cotapaxi, so we loaded our bikes onto the back of a truck and then into a bus, and the next day we took on the long, steep cobble climb to the national park. But we soon realized we just wouldn't make it in time, so we hitched one final ride to the entrance of the park, and finally we were faced with Volcan Cotapaxi.
We've made it! That is one of the most beautiful things I have ever laid my eyes on. That is absolutely stunning. Just got a couple of very cold and windy miles left to go. I never thought I'd be cycling at 12,000 feet with E. coli. Me neither, buddy, me neither.
And just like that, my trip with Chris had come to an end.